Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
This afternoon, I have the pleasure of speaking with a man who's staying warm in the house because it's doom and gloom all over the Midwest. But on the bright side, we get to talk about his graphic novel, The Monster on the Hill, that has been inspired or has inspired or loosely translated to the film Rumble that's coming to Paramount Plus. Rob Harrell, how are you today?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is very cool.
Hey man, I'm excited to talk to you. You know, you got a graphic novel out that came out in 2013 originally that just hit right, and then all of a sudden here we are. Paramount decides, you know what? Let's make an animated feature out of this with some heavy hitters like Will Arnett, Terry Crews, Ben Schwartz. You got Rebecca Quinn, better known to the general public as Becky Lynch in the WWE, Tony Danza, and so many other people that are involved in what you've inspired for a new animated feature. Yet the two don't necessarily have much to do with each other.
That's true. They're very different animals, I think. I inspired it, and then it sort of took on a life of its own, and it's become its own thing. But I've actually seen about 90% of it, and I think it's very cool what they've done. I mean, it's radically different than the book, but I think people are really going to like it, and the monster designs they came up with are just phenomenal.
Well, they try to stay in vein of your original artwork, but of course, you know, CG version now instead of the 2D panels that you had. Do you have a voiceover cameo in this as well?
I do not. No. I wish I did. I know. I wish I could do like a Hitchcock thing and walk through it.
You know, they superimposed your glasses on one of the monsters.
Yeah, probably. There you go. Yeah.
So real quick, how do we go from 1860s London and, you know, this fictional ideology of each town or each district has its own monster that's famous for something, to now this battle royale of monsters where Michael Buffer gets to be the ring announcer in this?
You know, here's what I think happened. My book is an underdog story. If I'm being honest, it's almost a thinly veiled, story about getting yourself out of a depression kind of thing. I was in sort of a funk when I wrote it. I had gone through sort of a horrible cancer time, and I was down, and I sort of wrote the book as a way to sort of pull myself out of it. So at its heart, it's an underdog story, and I knew when it got picked up that it would probably have to go bigger. I mean, right now it's, you know, the book itself is sort of a quiet, you know, there are some monster fights in it, but they're sort of in within control, I guess. And I knew that for animation you have to go bigger. Everything has to go bigger. So I knew there would be some changes. And then, you know, the process, I think there were 3 or 4 different directors involved at different stages, and different producers and different writers, and screenplays and it sort of kept getting further and further away from what's actually on the page. But I do think what they tried to keep was that underdog story. And then it sort of through a natural progression, it turned into, when you think of underdog stories, you think of sports movies. And I think Monster on the Hill sort of became Rumble, which is an underdog sports movie, essentially, but with huge monsters, which I gotta say, you know, 13-year-old me would be ecstatic about the movie that it became.
Well,
I mean, I am too. So, yeah.
Well, I'm ecstatic for you. And the more important thing through all of this is your health, and you've recovered.
I've recovered. I actually have a book out. My book that came out in 2020 called Wink is about, it's loosely based on the cancer experience I went through. And I ended up losing the sight in my right eye, but I'm okay. And honestly, when it first got started, we didn't know if I was going to be. It was a really rare cancer, but yeah, so I'm fine, and I lost the sight in that eye, but I consider myself incredibly lucky that I sort of came through it with just that.
Well, thank God for that, and knock on wood, because you know, if that's the worst of it, I mean, at least you still have your left eye to see through.
Yep, absolutely. And now I work digitally, and that makes everything easier because I kind of lost my depth perception, which makes it tough to work with brush pens and all that. I've made it work.
Are you left-handed as well, or?
I'm right-handed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, did I do that?
Well, it doesn't matter. No, I was just wondering, like, which would be easier for you in the long run, or now you've become ambidextrous because of it.
Yeah, no. I've just gotten really good at hitting the delete button if I the undo button if I don't like what I've done.
Yeah. Well, we see you have taste because you have Elvis Costello on the wall behind you.
He's my favorite. Funny story. I actually I was living in Austin, Texas at the time, and he came to the bookstore. They're book people, and one of the workers there helped sort of sneak me up to meet him, and I took him a copy of Monster on the Hill because I knew at the time he had 8-year-old twin boys, and so I took him a copy for his kids, and it was awesome. He was actually really excited about it. It was like, oh, my kids draw monsters all the time, so he pulled out his phone and showed me some of their monster drawings, and that was one of the coolest moments of my life, right there. Meeting him.
And now they're your apprentices.
Yes, I wish. Yeah, that would be cool. Well, they're probably old enough now they could be. So yeah, it was a while ago.
So, you're fighting this horrible disease. You recover, thank God. This is kind of a project of catharsis to help you get through it. When did you decide that it was going to be a monster story and an underdog story to help with your recovery?
The way it came about was interesting. I was approached. I've been really into reading the flight anthologies, if you know those, and they're just gorgeous. And the artwork in it is gorgeous. And there are these short stories, and I've been reading those, and I just really wanted to give it a try. And about that time, I was approached about doing a piece for it was going to be an anthology that was going to raise money for cancer research, and I was like, wow, yeah, I'm in. And so I came up with like a 7-page story. It was called Melancholia at the time, about this sad monster, this Nostradamus luck. And so it was pretty much right off the bat. At the time I had this video job where I was filming commission meetings around Texas, like government meetings, including the Texas Board of Education. And I would sit in this little back room during their meetings and draw all over their agendas. And one day I drew this character that became Rayburn, and I was just like, wow. And so all those things kind of came together at the same time, and I was asked to do a piece, and I thought, here's my chance. And so I took all these monsters and things that I'd been drawing during these meetings and sort of evolved a story out of them. And there was something about that character Rayburn that just the first drawing I did of him is kind of like what you see on the cover, and there was just something I sympathized with that character and thought, I haven't seen that before. A down on his luck monster. Maybe it's been done, but I just at the time was like, that seems like a fun thing to play with.
And here we are almost a decade later, and now it's been revitalized into an animated feature, or at least inspires an animated feature.
Right. And, they've been working on it for years and years. It was a slow process. But again, Real Effects is involved, and they did, Book of Life, and they've just done beautiful animation. So they were the first people I was involved with. And then Paramount came in eventually. And, one thing, I love about Real Effects is just the look of their animation. I think they do spectacular stuff.
You mentioned Book of Life. That film does not get the credit it deserves.
I agree, and I think the animation is just beautiful, and it's so unique. The way they work with those wooden-looking characters and all that, but they get full performances out of them, and I think they're pretty spectacular. So I was really excited, and they came on board, and then. Like I said, the character designs changed. You can see that from the trailer. But one of the coolest things was when I got to go out to LA and see some of this stuff, see these crazy character designs they came up for these kaiju or these big monsters. It was, they let their imagination run. And I think, I'm a little bummed that it's not more my book on the screen, but I can't be in some ways because these people took what I had done and then let their imaginations run. And there's something really cool about that. You could see it that the animators were just going for it. Like, let's come up with the coolest monster designs we can come up with, and they ran with it.
Well, you know what that means, right?
What's that?
You now have to do an adaptation of the animated feature and call it Monster on the Hill 2.
And talk. I would. That would be interesting. That would be really interesting. I've debated, what do you do if you do a sequel? Do you do it based on the book, or do you do it based on the movie? And I'm sure Stephen King would have thoughts on that, because he's always battling that, the changes and that sort of thing. And I did have an idea for Monster on the Hill too, but I don't think it would work with the new designs. But we'll see. Am I a purist, or do I go with what they've worked up? We'll see.
Well, is there also ever a moment, who was I talking to? Oh, I was talking to Daniel Knopf. He was a writer and a showrunner, and he had mentioned once, it was kind of humorous, but it was kind of in jest, but it was kind of true, that writers are the most egotistical yet self-conscious people there are. Well, of course, it's my word. It's the written pen. There's nothing stronger than that. And then there's that imposter syndrome. Does that happen with artists and going, my God, this is my baby, this is my creation that I put, and then you look at what they've come up with, and is either they're this bout of anger and like, that's not what I did, versus, oh my God, that might actually be better than what I originally had penned.
Absolutely. There's a push and pull with all that stuff. And so, I'd say I fought a bit early on, trying to retain, the essence of what my book was and all that. And then, somebody said one time, it's like sending your kids off to college. You just hope they come back with some resemblance of the kid you sent off or whatever. And so so it's almost like, my book grew up. But there's also, I would love to see my characters animated the way I had them. So it's a push and pull. But I know all about that imposter syndrome and the insecurities of being a writer or an artist or all that. Yeah, you're always second guessing yourself. And then when you see somebody put these huge monsters up on a big screen, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I could have tried to do that. Yeah.
Well, you did something right. I mean, you came out with a roughly 200-page book.
Yeah, and Top Shelf. I've always been a big fan of the books that Top Shelf put out. So I was, the biggest thrill for me was the day when they said they wanted to do the book, and I got to dig in with it, and it's honestly, it's opened up a bunch of doors for me. I've done a lot of books since then, and I have Top Shelf to thank for that. They're fantastic, and they let me have so much control over it, and I think that's what's pretty amazing about working with, a publisher like Top Shelf, who respects artists and respects creators and wants to see what you have in your head. And I think that's the ultimate graphic novel experience, is you are getting exactly what was in that person's head, the writing and the drawing. I love that they respect that.
I've noticed that there's been that controversy with these, small publisher creator owned aspect versus working for the big boys with Marvel and DC. And then that some people are, with the big two, have been holding back in their delivery, for, if I do this for them, they now own the character, they now own the rights to this. Why don't I save it for myself? And then I, go with a smaller publisher once my contract's up, and then there's that time that it's lost because the character was, something that was for 5 years ago, not today, even though whatever, right. How does that play into being an artist where you have to almost feel like you have to suppress your creativity for fear of someone else taking credit for it?
Well, fortunately, I haven't had to deal with that too much because I did this book, and then I've gone on and all my other books have been with Penguin, but they've been really open to my ideas as well. So they're fantastic. So I've had really good experiences with publishers. So I don't have a whole lot of experience with that, fighting to maintain, the essence of my character, that kind of thing. I think the closest I had to that is watching it become a movie, which is pretty different. But yeah, I can only imagine how frustrating that would be to have to sit on something for a reason like that when you want to go full speed ahead. Yeah, that seems incredibly frustrating.
And please forgive me if this is too personal, but do you have children yourself? And what is their reaction? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have kids. My wife and I don't have kids. We have a dog, but we no, and you know, it's interesting that I do books for kids. Mostly what I do. My novel was for middle school. My graphic novels I'm doing now, Bat Pig, they're aimed towards kids maybe a little older than the Dogman books, if you've seen those. And so I've been asked, well, you don't have kids. Why do you? I honestly, I think that's where my brain lands when I go to write. That's just sort of the groove that I fall into. And also I do comic strips. I did a comic strip called Big Top for 5 years. And then I've been doing one called Adam at Home for about 12 years now. And I think it's almost like I've gone to master, I've gotten my master's in writing for all ages. And so, I'm still doing it 7 strips a week and all that. So it just comes naturally to me. I think I've learned how to be like sort of edgy, but within the confines of being appropriate for kids as well.
Well, yeah, the question that I was going to add leading into that was that, what is their reaction to the transition from the original book to the second to the film? Or nieces or nephews or friends as well. We are surrounded by kids because of all of our friends and my nieces and nephews and of course they all feel personally injured by the changes, and I've had to sort of explain to them, because I do have some friends whose kids grew up reading Monster on the Hill. They're ready for college now, but back in the day they would carry that book around with them and read it every night before they went to bed and that sort of thing. So they have this really, really personal attachment to it, and I think on my behalf they feel mortified that it's not my book that's exactly springing to life on the page. But I've had some talks with them. I've explained it. I think they get it now. That's got to be an amazing feeling, though, that your book has become a bedtime story that kids want to read every single night.
It is. And that's one of the favorite things that's ever come out of me doing cartoons or writing or drawing or anything. These stories that I get from friends, and some of them are friends from college who I haven't seen in 20 years and 20, 30 years, and I'll get an email from him like, I just want you to know I gave my kid this book and he won't put it down, or he's read it. I think he's read it 30 times, that kind of thing, and that blows my mind. That's amazing. And I was that kid, and I had my books that I would pore over, the John Belair's books. I think I read them, I don't know how many times. And my favorite was the illustrations. I would just go over them with a fine tooth comb, and, anywhere there was a mistake, I'd spot it and that sort of thing. So I respect that kind of obsession over something.
Well, it's just cool that it's my book. By, Ben?
Yeah. What's that?
What are you overly obsessed by?
I love the comic strip Pogo. I love looking at the artwork from that. Like I said, I got really into those flight anthologies. And I read a lot of other graphic novels. Growing up, I was Bloom County, the comic strip was my thing. I was super into that. And Doonesbury. One of the cool thing about becoming a cartoonist is I've gotten to meet and hang out actually with a lot of these cartoonists who were sort of my idols growing up. But I'm also a big music guy. So probably my biggest obsession is music. I'm just sort of I go down wormholes on that. And it's perfect because I'm drawing all the time. So I can sit here and listen to, all kinds of new music all the time. So.
Is there ever something that you listen to that your wife's like, God, is that the song he has to be inspired by today?
Yeah, I'll tell you. This is funny. Something came up in one of my books that I was writing, and I referenced the song "Islands in the Stream," like Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. And so I pulled it up and played it, And then I thought it would be really funny because she didn't comment on it. And so I thought it was really funny. So I started seeing how many times I could play it that one day until she commented. And so I was in my office and she's, just outside there. And I got 17 times I played Islands in the Stream that day until she finally was like, what is going on with you? What is wrong? Why are you playing this? So that's not normal, but yeah, some of the punk stuff that I've gotten into lately, I went into sort of a late 70s punk thing. And I think she got pretty sick of Gang of Four. She's like, I don't need to ever hear them again. So yeah.
Well, you're doing something right if it's got you making a living as an artist.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier. That's kind of the most unbelievable part about all of this is just that, and when I think about how many tables I have waited and how many restaurants I've been a host at and over the years and that video job filming these 10-hour meetings and stuff, the fact that I now can just every day get up and draw and write and is incredible. And I try never to lose the excitement about that fact.
I mean, you've written novels, graphic novels as well, illustrations, comic strips. What's the one thing that you haven't written yourself that you're like, all right, this is the next phase in my evolution as a writer?
I really want to write a horror novel. I'm sort of a horror junkie, and it doesn't fit with the kid stuff that I do. So I don't know if I'd have to, use a pseudonym, Richard Bachman. But I would love to try my hand at writing horror. The one thing that irritates me about horror novels 99% of the time is that they're just not scary. And I'm like, no, I want it scary. So I keep thinking, could I do it? I don't know. That's not a muscle I've used very much, but there's somewhere deep buried inside me. There's a really dark, troubling horror novel.
So, okay, wait a minute. So if horror novels don't scare you, with the abundance that's out there, what does scare you?
Oh, man, that's tough. I mean, every once in a while I'll see a horror movie coming out. It's rare, but every once in a while one comes out where I'm like, whoa, that was really creepy. Hereditary, that was, there's, I don't know. What scares me? COVID. That was a bad answer. That was a throwaway answer.
It really is, because, we're scared of the air now for the last 2 years.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing scarier than real life right now. So, maybe I just need to bottle that and turn that into a novel.
Well, I will tell you the scariest movie of the year that I've seen so far.
Okay.
West Side Story.
Did you like it?
Movie musicals terrify me.
Okay.
How people are grossed out and horrified by torture porn?
Yep. That's you are?
That's how I am with movie musicals. They horrify me.
But yet you sat down and watched?
Well, we have to review the movie.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I'm just sitting there. I was like, who sings at the police in protest when they're being harassed? I don't get this. This doesn't make sense to me. You're dancing in the middle of the street for a gang fight.
Most of them don't work for me. And I'll be honest, I keep hearing that tick, tick, boom is really good. But there's one scene in the trailer that just gave me awkward chills, and I was like, "Whoa! I don't think I can do it." So maybe someday when it's on cable, I'll give it. Well,
it is a Netflix movie, so.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. You'll be able to watch that in the background.
Okay, I'll go put that on. See if I can do it. I mean, yeah, and sometimes it's just the earnestness in scenes that caves me in on myself, sort of. But yeah, it's a very good musical. That it has to be a really good musical for me to be able to do it. So now you got me scared about West Side Story.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, the level of talent and the way it's visually shot is absolutely gorgeous, but I can't wrap my head around people in real life settings singing. If this was a stage performance, no problem. Yeah, but the fact that it's in Manhattan or it's in Brooklyn or wherever it takes place in New York City, and like, you know, cars are actually going down the street while they're dancing around. I can't do it.
Well, and the original West Side Story had that Technicolor stage play look almost to the movie, even with, you know, Officer Krupke. He's not like a real life. So I can see where that could be.
Yeah. So that's why I like, if it was like the original, I can handle it more, but you know, because it's too realistic in some aspects.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still cartoonish, and not cartoonish is the wrong word for it, but you know, like has that like Dick Tracy vibe to it.
Yeah.
You know, the stage performance vibe to it, but it just, you know, when real cars are coming and you're dancing around in the middle of the street, it just, you know.
I'm going to give you my full review.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
You know, I'll drop you a line at your website, you know, and go,
Okay.
all right, Rob, what do you think?
What you think?
And then tell me I'm nuts.
I'm going to check it out. Okay. That's awesome.
You know, well, Rumble comes out on December 15th through Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
You know,
next week.
Right in time for Christmas too, man. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to come out next February in theaters, and I think between COVID and then, you know, I think they wanted to get it out to people so they could watch it for the holidays, which I do think it's a great movie for families to watch with their kids. I'm gonna watch it with my parents when I'm home next week, and then probably have a viewing with my friends and some of their kids here. I think it's a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see. There were supposed to be toys. I haven't heard much lately about it, but I can only imagine these incredibly cool toys made out of these monsters. So I'll be looking for those too.
That will be fun.
Yeah, I know. I hope they still happen now that it's going to streaming. But you know, streaming seems to be the way right now. So I think 5 years ago I would have been like, oh, what? It's going to streaming. But now, you know, it's a different world.
You're like, I don't have to put on pants to watch this. This is phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Since Becky Lynch is one of the voices in this, do you get like a free ticket to a wrestling show when WWE comes to town because of it?
I don't. I need to talk to them about that. I need to work on that. And you know, I really hope for a premiere so I can meet Will Arnett. Arrested Development is one of my favorite things ever, and I would love to meet him. But they put together a crazy good cast for this. So I think they've got a winner on their hands.
Like in your wildest dreams, did you ever sit there, you know, you put this book together, you're going through this horrible time in your life, possibly one of the worst experience, well, the worst experience ever, next to a parent passing away, or worse, a child passing away.
Sure.
And here you are now, oh yeah, there's all these phenomenal voice actors and talented people that are going to bring characters I inspired to life.
I never imagined it. You know, I mean, maybe wildest dreams while you're sitting there inking and coloring and that sort of thing. But I mean, I never thought there was a chance it would really happen. I mean, that's one thing that I found through all these different projects I've been involved with. You know, a lot of them we've kind of had people sniff around at them about making a movie or a show or something out of them. And I'm amazed that anything ever gets made in Hollywood. And the fact that things get made and they're actually good is beyond my comprehension, because it's like you clear 1,000 hurdles and then there's 10,000 more, you know. And so I just, when something actually crosses the finish line, I think it's yeah, I just don't know how that happens.
And your wife's reaction to all your work and everything else, is she an artist as well, or is she your accountant?
She's not. No, she's an esthetician, but she's very proud of it all, and she supports me in all kinds of ways. And like right now, I'm doing a graphic novel, and the turnaround on it is just insane. And we just got a puppy, and so she's been on hardcore puppy duty here lately, so that I can actually get this thing done in time. So I can't thank her enough. No, she's super supportive of it all. You know, it's not a normal job. So it's really nice to have somebody who understands that and gets that. It's not always about like the financial thing and all that. A lot of times it's just, no, I want this book. I want to do this book and get this out there, which was the case with Monster on the Hill for sure.
And essentially you turned it into her dog now.
Yeah, right. And this puppy is a handful, man. So she's had her hands full here the last few weeks. And the book is coming along. It's still going to be tight whether I get this thing in or not, but we hope so.
And is this your own project, or are you illustrating for someone else, or?
No, this is my own project. It's my own project. So in my book, Wink, the kid is going through cancer treatments. He's in 7th grade, and it's, like I said, based on my experience. And then I wanted him to have some of the things I did. So he draws comics in it, and he draws this comic called Bat Pig. So the first Bat Pig graphic novel just came out a few weeks ago, and the second one's coming out in July, and I'm working on the third one, which will be out the following year. And they're just ridiculous, goofy fun. And after writing a sort of a little bit more heavy book, I mean, the novel is still funny in spite of its subject matter, but being able to just let loose and in the book I'm doing right now, he goes up against the villain that is half Abraham Lincoln and half Great White Shark Abraham Lincoln, and just to be able to spend my days coming up with stupid things like that is I can't believe I get to do it.
I see an Asylum film coming your way with this.
Yeah, okay. I'm in.
Yeah. They got away with four Sharknadoes, so. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, this might be perfect for that. Bat pig in his underwear and a cape. Yeah, what could go wrong?
Yeah. Well, is the comic attributed to the character in the book, or is it attributed to you?
In the books, in the graphic novels, he's attributed to me. In the novel, he's attributed to Ross. And so it was sort of a reset of the character. But I had so much fun doing them. My publisher really responded to those comics, and readers really liked it. And so we were like, hey, let's do something here. And so it kind of came about naturally, just sort of evolved. And I'm having so much fun with it. It's a ridiculous amount of fun.
Well, I'm glad with that, and hopefully Marvel doesn't come after you with, Spider-Ham, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I think we try to cover all our bases and make sure we're okay, but that wakes me up in the middle of the night, like, wait, what have I done? But I think we're okay because it's very much spoofy, and he's not in any way Batman. He's his own pig. I would say. I'm so used to using pig puns now. They come out without thinking about it.
It's all right. We're hamming it up a little bit.
Yes, we are.
As you bring home the bacon, so it's even better.
Yeah. Well, it behooves me. See, they're in the back of my head all the time. I was just writing on it today. Oh boy, I can't get that out of my head.
Do you practice these puns on your own, or do they just come to you and you're like, I got to jot that one down? This is a really good one.
They just come to me, and then but I do have one friend who likes to send me pig puns just constantly as he's coming up with them, or names for potential. Like the first book is called When Pigs Fly. The second book is Too Pig to Fail, and now I have friends sending me ideas, and most of them are inappropriate and that sort of thing. But anything with pig in it or a hoof in it, they're coming up with now.
Well, we can't make it inappropriate. This is for kids.
Right. So I just laugh and move on.
Yeah. And try not to put it in your work.
Right. That's always a challenge.
You're like, that's too good not to sneak it in. No, can't do it.
Yeah, can't do that.
Yeah. But with Monster on the Hill and now Rumble and everything that's going on for you, and it's going to streaming. Clearly, it's going to have a Blu-ray release at some point and bonus features and whatever else. When the initial group that reached out to you to want to do it, and then when it finally came into Paramount's hands, when did you realize that it was not just in talks, it was not just a projected project, it finally went to production, beyond the green light? Like, what did that reality hit to you versus, people sniffing around and going, well, there's potential for this, maybe we want to do it?
Yeah. I took a trip out to LA at one point to see some of the stuff they'd been working on. This was right about the time Paramount came on, and I met with the director. This was actually the second director, and I think we already had like 3 scripts at that point. And that meeting with the director, where he was sort of pitching me his vision of the movie, that's when it really, I think, clicked. It all of a sudden felt like, oh, wait a second. And I remember walking out of there thinking, this thing may happen. A lot of work had been done. A lot of people had already done a ton of work on character design and story work and all that. But there are a million stories about things getting that far and then falling apart. So there was something about it, just felt so official sitting out there talking about exactly where this thing was going to go. That yeah, and I don't know why that tripped the wire, but sitting down with the director and maybe it was just his passion for the project that made me think that this would go through, which is a fun feeling. Like, oh my gosh, we're off and running here, I think. So, and then I have my film agent, who got the deal. He's been, this incredible sounding board, and he would always come back to me saying, now we're going, now we're cooking. And so I always just kind of relied on his word on these things. I also will say, one of my good friends, Brad Booker, he was a good friend from art school, ended up being a producer on the film. And so I had sort of a friend who I could talk to about what was happening. And so I was always getting updates from him as well. It was fun to have him on the project. Although we butted heads a couple of times, but we did that in art school too. So that's just friends being friends.
Well, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it was nice to be able to talk candidly with someone about what was happening and all that. And he may not have appreciated it, but I did. I got to call him at 3 a.m. when I was worked up about something.
That's even better is when you sit there and you harass your friends at 3 a.m.
Yes, yeah, he really enjoyed it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Of course, you wake up the wife, you wake up the dogs, you wake up the kids.
Yeah. I try not to do that too much.
You pulled the Santa Claus move without the milk and cookies.
Yes, yeah. I'm Santa in my own way.
So essentially, this is your Christmas gift: is that Monster on a Hill is translated to an animated feature. It gets bumped up to be released 10 days before Christmas.
Yep. And I think it's perfect for holiday viewing and all that. It doesn't really have a Christmas bent to it, but I think it's the perfect kind of movie that you'd want to watch with your kids before a holiday. And then anybody who's a big sucker for big monsters like myself, I have like a huge Godzilla poster sitting right there in front of my desk. So I think it'll appeal to those people as well. And it's just a lot of fun. And it's a really fun movie.
Yeah. I have to ask this question because I know how my parents are.
Okay.
All right. And I don't know how your parents would be. But if they like the animated feature more than the graphic novel, will they tell you and make sure to repeatedly say it for the next 97 minutes from the opening credits till the closing ones, just continuously going, they did better with this story than yours over here. Oh, they did, when you were on page 17 over here, this 5th minute in, type deal.
I actually don't think mine will. I think they'll be very nice about it. They've heard me, over the past 8 years, talk about the process. So I think they'll be kind. But who knows? They might surprise me. They've surprised me before. That would be interesting.
Because that's how my parents would react.
Yeah, they would.
I know, like from the opening credit, the music starts playing, the first visual effect pops up after the Paramount logo. And they're like, this is already better than what you've ever written.
They might, that's just cutting. That would hurt. But no, I hope they like it. I'm going down there next week actually so that I can set them up with Paramount Plus so that we can watch it, because that has been the one thing is they don't quite understand how they're supposed to get it.
Where are your parents?
They're in Bloomington, Indiana. They're about an hour and a half south of here, and they were asking me if I could come up with a printout for their friends to tell them how to get on Paramount Plus. I'm like, well, it's kind of different on every TV and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna come up with some very basic directions, and then hopefully guide some people. And I'm kind of excited to get Paramount Plus. I'm getting it tomorrow. It's on my list of to-do things, and I just saw there's a new South Park movie on there, and I'm like, oh, that's great.
It's hilarious. The South Park movie is absolutely hilarious.
Is
It's not funny, hilarious in the sense of like belly laugh hilarity, but it's like my God, it is so brilliant
Yeah.
that I have
That's
to
my
pause
favorite
and
thing.
chuckle through it.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about them is they'll take some idea and then just run with it so outrageously, and you're like, yeah, but it makes sense and it's so brilliant, and that's their genius, and I can't wait to watch it. And I just heard the second one now they're doing like 10 movies for them or something, so
Something like that, yeah. So I think this one's a short film, about 45 minutes, roughly an hour, something like that. So about an hour. I think it's about an hour actually, and then they're going to continue on with the rest of them. But this one, where the kids are grown up for this one particular one.
that's what I heard. Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm in. So tomorrow night I'll probably be watching that. I'll give
you
my review of that too.
Okay. When we stop the interview, I will give you only one spoiler, and it might be in the trailer, but it's one spoiler that's absolutely worth it.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
and spoilers, I would think, so what not to tell me. So
right.
Yeah.
This is just one tidbit that it will make you want to watch it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Man. As everything progresses for you, novels and books and film adaptations and so much more, how surreal is it, living in LA? It would have a different vibe than living in the Midwest. What is it like in the Midwest to have this idea, this project come to life versus if you had lived over here?
Well, having not lived in LA for a long time, I moved out there for 2 months after college, trying to get into animation, and that didn't take. And then came back and started a t-shirt company with a friend back here. But I actually kind of like it. I think when I was in LA, for that brief time, I remember feeling sort of intimidated. It was like I felt like everybody around me, was in the game and involved, and who knows, that could be a cinematographer getting coffee in front of me and stuff like that. And I know, not everybody out there is like that, but if anything, it probably keeps me humble here because we have a big group of friends here, and they all like to blow me all kinds of crap about being Mr. Hollywood and stuff like that. So, that stuff never ends. I just got a thing today. Somebody was in a bookstore and saw a stack of my books. And right next to it was one book of R.J. Palacio that wrote Wonder, her new book. It was down to one book. And they were like, this pony book is outselling you, Rob. And so they never let me, get too big, too full of myself. So I kind of love that. But yeah, if I was out there, I feel like there might be more pressure but I like it here. I like people here. And we're in sort of a small town here on the north side of Indianapolis. And it's, just, I like the people and I like our group of friends here. So it's weird. I get on and talk with somebody about the movie coming out next week, and then I can kind of put that away and go walk my dog. So, I'm happy. I'm happy with it.
And then you get to rub it into your friends that have to go to a 9-to-5 job and sit there and go, you're the one that had to shovel the truck out of the driveway to get there. Well, I got to sit home in a t-shirt and pajama pants and talk about my work.
There's absolutely that. And that's always fun. That's always fun to have a reason to give any of them a hard time.
Yeah. Rob, with the book being back in print for, with the 2020 edition, what would you like people to get from the book? And what would you like them to pay attention to in the film, since you've already seen parts of it?
The one thing I didn't want to ever happen is anybody who read the book and really liked the book, like say my friend's kid who used to, walk around with it every night and read it every night. I don't want people to go in expecting to see my book exactly pop up on screen. So I've been pretty upfront about that, but I really hope they'll be able to just enjoy it as its own thing, because it has evolved is how I would put it. So I hope in the book, I hope people, I think there are some tiny lessons in there. I try not to get preachy with anything. So, like I said, it's a little bit of a self-help thing. He learns to rely on friends and go out of his comfort zone and challenge himself. And then there's a character in the book called the Merc, which is like the really bad monster. And the Merc, when I was sort of depressed, was how I thought of like all the deeper down stuff that, you know, you have a hard time getting through and you go to therapy for and that sort of thing. And so ultimately he has to fight the Merc. So I hope that people read the book and get some sense of that out of it. But then when you go to the movie, I would say just kick back and have a good time, because it's again, it's an underdog story. Rayburn, he's called Steve at one point in the movie. It's Will Arnett's character is an underdog, and you know, so I think there's still that kernel of believing in yourself and learning to rely on others and putting trust in others and that sort of thing. So they do have a through line between both of them, as different as they are now.
You know, Rob, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Before I let you go, this has got to be the biggie. Where do we find you on social media to connect with you and then go and complain about the movie that we like the book better, or vice versa?
I think I'm terrible at this. I think I'm Harrell Rob on Instagram and Rob Top on Twitter, ROBBTOPP, because I used to do a comic strip called Rob or Big Top. But I could have those switched. So look for me on Instagram and Twitter and then Facebook, and robharrell.com is my website, and you can find all that stuff there as well. I used to paint. I've got all kinds of that stuff up there, and then information about my books. I need to update it. It doesn't have anything about the latest book, but I'm out there. And you know, if you like a book or you have questions about it, I encourage people to reach out to me, because you know, it doesn't happen as much as you would think, and I look forward to hearing from people.
Well, you know, we had to tease you a little bit about picking on you going one way or the other, because it is Twitter, and that's what Twitter is known for. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So one of those is my Twitter account, and one of those is my Instagram, and I'm learning on both of those. It's not my natural instinct to be on social media, but I'm just trying to be available more than anything to people. So yeah, I love hearing from people who like the books, or heck, if you don't like hearing from the book, tell me why you don't like it. Not too much of that. We can limit that part. Yeah. You
know, Monster on the Hill is available now from Top Shelf Productions, which is an imprint of IDW Publishing. Rumble comes out on Paramount Plus on December 15th. Rob Harrell, thank you so much for your time, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, it's been really fun. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.